Yeah, baby, you got the right place at the exact right time. Welcome to our Birds Huddle schedule release. We're ready to go through all of the Birds games. Danny Pommells and Barrett Brooks here. And hey, we're on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Make sure you chime in with your thoughts, questions, suggestions, whatever you got. Send it our way. We'll sift through them and pick out the best ones. And Barrett, I know you were feeling it. You're a little gassed up for this, right? You're excited, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the schedule. My Birds coming out to shoot, ready to ball. They got much needed talent on the offensive side of the ball. Defense, they might be going in a different direction they were last year as far as 3-man down, 4-man down. I mean, there's so many things that I'm anxious to see with this schedule number one and how the Eagles are going to play number two.
Yeah, and we want everyone on YouTube to make sure they chime in on our poll about how many wins they think the Birds will get this season. We will update that as we go along here, and as well as get to some of your comments and whatnot. But let's dive into the action with week one. And I think these first 2 weeks, we kind of know what to expect here because things have been leaked out and said or whatnot. Week one, it is the Detroit Lions. And Barrett, I know you're looking at this as a W compared specifically to what they did to the Lions last year.
Yeah, 44-6. They had over 230 yards rushing on them. This is where this is their coming out party as far as changing the offense and going in the right direction. And I just feel as though it's be the same thing. Jared Goff is still their quarterback. They still are Detroit Lions. I played in that jersey before, so I know what it is to go out there and play. So I think this is just a win. It's a good warm-up for this team to go out there and gain their confidence going into the season.
All right, we hope that the Eagles have a good preseason that carries over into this first game, and this will be a 1-0 start for the Birds as Barrett has it. Let's move on to week two and take a look at some prime time action against the Minnesota Vikings. And if anyone out there has been watching Birds Huddle just a little bit, based on the numbers, a lot of you have been watching, but if anyone's been watching a little bit, we know how Barrett feels about Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins and what he's capable of doing. Barrett, I'll let you tell the people about what you expect from him on Monday night.
The Monday night underneath the lights, we all know that Kirk Cousins plays small when it comes to the big lights. He never comes in and plays at a high level when he's playing on Monday night in front of everybody. So the Eagles need to take advantage of him, beat him up a little bit, have that pass rush going. Hassan Reddick, welcome this quarterback into this game. And it's the first home game showing in front of your crowd, your home fans. This is a Hassan Reddick comes and makes his coming out party as a Philadelphia Eagle. At least 2 sacks on him, So let's check a win in the winner's column against the Vikings.
All right, man. The link will be rocking like grandma's favorite chair for sure. But the Eagles back in prime time, Barrett, after a season where they didn't get that kind of love, what do you expect from them here under the lights?
Well, they didn't deserve it. I call it 4.5 wins. They tied Cincinnati that year. So, I mean, you can't expect for everybody to put you on Monday night or any primetime game when you've only you lost every game except for 4 and you tied a team. So come on, man. They didn't deserve having a primetime game, but they earned it this last year, got it to the playoffs, give them their just due. Primetime under the lights, the number 2 game on Monday night, that game. So, they deserve it. They deserve it.
Hey, Bradley France chiming in on YouTube, letting us know that the opponent seemed pretty favorable. Hey, we'll take it for sure because the Eagles could use a little bit of momentum here to start the season as we head to week 3. Guess who? It is the Washington Commanders. The Eagles are on the road at Washington in week 3. It's a 1:00 game, and I think they have a new quarterback. Barrett, can you remind us who that might be?
Ooh, Mr. Wentz. They go out and meet Mr. Wentz out there. I think are they still playing at FedEx Field there, man? It's been a while since I've been out there, man. But
it's still at FedEx.
You know what? I mean, everybody's talking about this team and what they bring to the table. I think Carson, man, he always comes out the gates, on fire. You know what I mean? And with Logan Thomas coming back, really good tight end, and that defense being the number 1 ranked defense, I think going into this year, as far as their front 7, they got a great front 7. Looking what they did in the draft, this might be, I'm sorry to say, this might be the Eagles' first loss.
Okay.
This might be their first loss. So I'm counting this one as they go up there and Carson Wentz plays out of his mind at home in front of his fans, and they hand the Eagles their first loss.
Okay, so 2-1 here through the first 3 weeks. Do you think they'll have the restrictor plates on Carson at all? Like, do you think he's throwing the ball over 25 times, over 30 times, or are they kind of managing the offense with him a bit?
They're going to manage the offense, not because of what Carson's doing. It's just what they do. Coach Barrett, he loves to run the rock, and the talent they have there. Antonio Gibson, really good running back. J.D. McKissick, he's back. So, I think they're going to run the ball consistently, but they got some weapons. They got the young kid from Penn State, actually, Jahan Dotson. They got Terry McLaurin. I think they're going to open it up on the opposite side of the ball, and they're going to be good at whatever they try to do. Then look at defense. I'm looking at their defense. Montez Sweat, first rounder. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young.
A lot of Alabama along that line.
Right. Stop me when you want me to stop talking about defensive stars. So I think it's their first loss. I think they split
2-1 through 3 weeks. And if you thought you got the nostalgia vibes with Carson Wentz, let's look at week 4, because guess who? It is Doug Peterson at the Link, October 2nd, 1:00. So the dude has a statue outside of the arena,
right?
Outside the stadium, Barrett. So, like, are you anticipating a welcome for Doug, or is it all business for Eagles fans and it won't be a warm welcome for him?
DP, I'm gonna tell you the truth. He's gonna come in, they'll give him a standing ovation, and after that ovation, the Eagles will turn around and spank that. Yes. Spank that butt. They will go out there and destroy his team. He didn't have enough time, but going into their fourth game, and putting his culture in. His culture can't be put in 4 or 5 games. So this is a game where they just beat up on Doug's team. Although he gets the standing ovation, they still gonna swat his little tail as he goes out. So they'll beat up on this Jaguar team. It'll be their next win. So they'll be 3-1 out of this game.
Pretty good start through 4 weeks.
Yep. Deservedly so. They're on the right track. They have the culture. Nick Sirianni's got things going in the right direction. Jalen Hurts is his second year in the same system. This works perfect for him, going into the rest of the season.
We used to call that the quarter pole of the NFL season. Obviously, there's 17 games now, so pretty much the same thing. But 3-1 through 4 games. Let's move to week 5, and it is the Arizona Cardinals. They're headed out west. Everyone trying to make their trips and plan where they're going. Hey, Arizona in October, not too bad. So if you're trying to look at what trips you might want to take, going to the desert in October, a 4:25 start. But as far as the trip for the fans will be fun, might not be as fun of a trip for the Eagles with what the Cardinals bring to the table. But what do you think will happen there, Barrett?
Well, this is where they get their second loss.
Okay.
Just looking at it, I like what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball, but it's a lot to deal with as far as James Conner running the rock against them.
Kyler
Murray's a little pissed off because he didn't get his contract, so he's a little pissed off. So he's gonna go out there and try to bomb away, even though they won't have their star receiver. They still have some guys out there: DJ Humphries, Randall Moore. A guy that we haven't really talked about last year, but Randall Moore, this kid can play, man. He can do a lot of things. So I see him having his breakout year.
There's a tight end out there that might know the scheme a little bit.
You got Mr. Ertz. He got his contract. He wants to. He's gonna have a vendetta against this team. So, and plus he has a guy that he's gonna be mentoring, Trey McBride, the number 1 tight end in that draft last year. This last draft, Trey McBride out of Colorado State, a really, really good tight end. So they'll be ready for the Eagles, and I think they might hand them a loss. So it'll be their second loss.
So 3-2 there, just a game above 500. So all of a sudden the optimism of 3-1 changes to 3-2. But technically the Cardinals are one of the contenders for that NFC East crown. It should be when it boils down to it. So we'll see, how the Birds bounce back with their Week 6 game, because that's a game that they're going to play under the bright lights of Sunday Night Football against those starred helmets of the Dallas Cowboys, October 16th at 8:20. The Eagles on Sunday Night Football, their second primetime game of the year. What are you thinking here with the boys, Barrett?
At home, they're going to beat the boys. They're at home, man. They're going to start off by just having no respect for this Dallas team. And I think this is where, the tides turn in the division. of course, from with the draft and bringing in AJ Brown and how Howie's brought this team together, and Nick Sirianni finally getting his culture implemented, and Gannon going out there running the defense he wants to run. This is where they turn the tide and become a force in the division. They beat up on Dallas on Monday night.
Sunday
With
night,
the win.
it'll be fantastic.
Oh, no question.
In South Philly, Sunday night football, national spotlight. I really like those night games at the Link. I like the 1 o'clock games a lot. The 4:25 games are, but I really like that night game. Sunday night football, the bright lights, people come out in droves. It makes a tough day to go to work the next day, but
it's gonna be tough. I will gladly go to work early in the morning after an Eagles win Monday Night Football in our house. The vet, I said the vet. The Link will be rocking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All these unbelievers, believe me when I say they'll be ready to play against this Dallas team. They're taking over the division in this game.
All right, 3-2 goes to 4-2 as the Eagles head into week 7 and get some time off. What do you expect from them to try to shuffle the deck here as they head into the rest of the slate? Week 7 bye. Are you happy with the bye here? Or would you prefer that they have it later in the season as they're a newer team trying to make some of these pieces be more cohesive? Are you okay with the bye at this point?
7 is not the midway point. I'd rather have had it right around 10 or 11. Because that's usually around where the rookies hit that rookie wall, right around 10, 11, 12. But is 7, maybe, if the ball's not bouncing the way they want, they can regroup in 7, and then they head into this stretch where this is where you start shuffling and see where you are in the NFC, and jockeying for position going into, the second half of the season. So, this is where you start seeing and getting the pecking order on who's who in the NFC. So it's okay. I like 7. I mean, it'll be okay.
All right. And Paul Moore chiming in on Facebook with the observation that you get Wentz, Dougie P, and Ertz in 3 consecutive weeks. You think they schedule makers planned it that way? It's pretty interesting.
Of course, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to make the key matchup, the matchup within the matchup. The Wentz against his old team, Dougie P versus his old team. After sitting out a year, he's finally come back against the Jaguar team. He just hadn't had enough time to get those guys going in the right direction. So, yeah, and then Dallas is Dallas. Dallas week is always where it's tough, So this is right where they need to be. It's going to be a physical game, so it might be best they do come out of Dallas week and have the bye, because those guys be beating each other up, man.
We're back to work in week 8, and it is mischief night, as we called it growing up, the day before Halloween. Halloween is on a Monday. It is the Eagles and the team you are familiar with oh so well, Barrett, the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they will be coming to South Philly. The Steelers, obviously a new quarterback situation and a lot of new pieces as well. What are you expecting here in this matchup? Eagles 4-2 in your eyes at this point.
They're going to spank the Steelers. Beat them real good, because this probably be where they're trying to transition Trubisky and Pickett right around this time here. And I think this is going to be the coming out party for the big fella, Jordan Davis. They're going to try to run the ball with Najee Harris. They're going to try to run the ball. I think this is where he makes the appearance of being a force in the middle of the defense. He's going to finally get into the rotation as far as being a reliable defensive lineman in the rotation. They're going to have him head up over the center. And this is where he starts his upward progress of being a dominant defensive lineman against the run. First and second down will be ruled by Jordan Davis, and this is going to be his coming out party against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, so the Steelers are a W, 5-2 now. We have the Eagles through week 8. We'll head to week 9, and we're back on prime time. It is Thursday night football, so a short week for the Eagles as they'll be back on the field just 4 days after playing on Sunday. And it's the Houston Texans, an interesting team, and I'm curious how you view this game, Barrett.
I like Lovey. Lovey Smith is a really good coach. 3 years ago, he was with in Illinois. Did a pretty good job there. Becomes the defensive coordinator for the Texans, and now he's the head coach. They just don't have enough. I mean, Davis Miles is their quarterback, young guy going into his second year being a starter. they have some weapons. They got Cook. We tried to pull Cook from their services. They signed him back to a 2-year deal. Just looking at them, they got Mitchie the third, receiver from Alabama. But still, I just think that the Eagles are just too much for this young team. And, even though they have, a really good safety, they just drafted a Petrie from Baylor. They just don't have enough.
Okay.
The culture's not set yet for them either. So, the Eagles come in and spank them really good with so the Eagles have another win against this Texans.
Yeah, they got to travel down to Arlington to play that game, but you got it as a win. So 6-2, that's pretty going to be the toast of the NFC. I mean, among those teams for sure who are, near the top of the heap. So is that what you envision for the Eagles this year, or do you feel like the schedule's just playing out that way?
The schedule's playing out perfectly. This is a better schedule, I think, than last year. You look at what they have. They had Murderers Row the first half of the season. They had Kansas City. They had the 49ers. They had really the cream of the crop, going into this first half of the season. I think the second half of the season is where things got a little bit easier for them. Well, I think it's easy throughout this roster. These schedule with teams they're playing. So I like this Eagles roster. I like how they approached it. I like how they built where they needed to build. They're a few bricks shy of a full house in the secondary. Mm-hmm. They still need some bricks to put that secondary together. But at this point, I think that, they're going to step into their own, and especially going into this game. It's going to be a revenge game, going into the next week.
Well, it's funny because you have them at 6-2 through week 9. They have 11 days between games in week 9 and 10. And guess who it is? Once again, it is Carson Wentz in South Philly as the Commanders come to town. And I'm curious because we had a guy earlier when we were talking about the Commanders matchup. This guy, Andrew Borbatico. I'm sorry if I messed your name up, from Facebook, just saying Carson is horrific and gives us our first loss, then we have issues. So here we are in our second game. And you thought they would lose that game, but I'm going to guess you don't feel that same way about when the Commanders come to South Philly.
Carson Wentz will finally get his ass smacked. Period. He's going to win. He's going to beat them. And I do know a little bit about football there, guys.
Wait. Oh, okay. So you're saying week 1 he'll beat them, but in week 2,
week 2 it'll be a revenge game, and he'll come.
Well, Andrew, I think Barrett's talking directly to you, so go ahead, Barrett.
There's no question directly to him. I know a little bit about football, and you'll see. He'll smash him the second time. You know what I'm saying? He will get spanked, and he's gonna have to pass by that same same statue that's out front with Nick Foles and the head coach. He'll see that too as they come in and they spank him on the way out. He can look at it on the way out. So yes, they'll win in this game. They'll split with Washington. They'll beat them this game, bro.
All right, so their second Monday Night Football game and back-to-back weeks in prime time. Suddenly, the Eagles are looking like one of those teams. They're looking like a vogue pick at this point. If you got them 7-2, they've been in prime time 4 times up until this point. Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football, and they're 7-2. Teams are going to be headhunting the Eagles heading into week 11.
Well, this is where Murderers Row starts.
Indianapolis Colts.
Starting off with the Colts. And, this is where they're going to hit a little rough patch. I really think that they have 3 quality teams they're going to be playing against. And, their old offensive coordinator, Frank Wright, he's going to have a little something to say about him going against his young Padawan and Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, this will be a pride game for Nick.
Yeah, it'll be a pride game. And of course, Frank Wright understands Nick Sirianni. Same way it can go vice versa. But I think Frank has been around the block a little bit. And you can't really say anything about his horses. You look, he got Jonathan Gannon. He has a veteran quarterback in Matt Ryan. Say what you want to say. He's a veteran guy. He's going to get the ball out to, Michael Pittman Jr., all those guys. So this will be a loss for my Eagles.
I felt you leaning that way. I felt you leaning that way toward the loss. So not quite the homecoming that Nick Sirianni would have wanted. So 7-3.
It'll be the running game with Jonathan Taylor, but then you look at the defense. The Forrest Buckner up front. You got Yannick Ndoka. What is it? Yannick
Yeah.
in
And Dope.
whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 91. But then you got Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard, man, probably one of the top, if not the top linebacker in the NFL as far as total game in running sideline to sideline, playing coverage. He does everything well. So, this defense is pretty good. They went and signed Stephon Gilmore, added him to the defense. This could be a major stump for the Eagles,
All right, 7-3 after the Colts loss. Let's head into week 12, and it is Go Pack Go. The Packers in South Philly. The last primetime game for the Eagles, a Sunday night football matchup against Aaron Rodgers, who we've seen pull off some interesting magic on Sunday night football here in South Philly in playoff games. What do you see in this matchup with Green Bay?
I see Aaron Rodgers just going out there and is just dominating. He's getting long in the tooth, and he wants to win now. And at this point, I had them atop the NFC, period. I had them even ranked ahead of the Rams, who just won the Super Bowl. I had them as the number one team because they kind of retooled. You know what I'm saying? They went out and got a receiver in Christian Watson. People really didn't know him, but I actually did the prelims to the championship game in FCS football rather. And this kid is like 6'5", 4'3", 40, can catch everything. The offensive line is really good. They got Badiara's what's his name? Badiara's back. He's back. Royce Newman's a really good guard. I like what they do up front, man. And Aaron Jones has always been a quality running back. On the defensive side of the ball, they got Devontae Wyatt. He was my number one defensive lineman for that Georgia defense.
So back-to-back losses here for them?
That's back-to-back losses, yeah. And then one of the better linebackers also at Georgia, nobody really talked about. He actually got drafted in the first round before a lot of the guys, was Quay Walker. Quay Walker is a baller. That's why he went late in the first as opposed to, not going into the second round. He is a baller, man. He runs sideline to sideline. He's going to be starting for him. So I think this will be their 2 losses in a row. First time 2 losses in a row.
All right, 7-4 are the Eagles through 12 weeks. Last primetime game. So I actually like the way this shapes up so that the end of the schedule, as we head into week 13, they take on the Titans. A.J. Brown facing his former team. The schedule maker is just lining it all up for all the storylines and whatnot for this Eagles team. But if I'm A.J. Brown and I'm playing my old team, I would love to get them at my new field instead of visiting the old place. So here they are, 7-4, needing a little get back against the Titans. Are the Eagles able to control their running game that the Tennessee has, or do you think this is a loss too?
You know what? I'm just being honest, man. I think this is a game where they lose 3 in a row. You lose 3 in a row. I said it's a murderer's row. They lose their third game. Derrick Henry, that's all. That man. There go that man. He's a guy you got to count for, and I mean it's gonna be a long day. There's gonna be some bumping heads. It's gonna be a tight game, but I think that the Titans team, they're gonna play together. Great coaching, and it just looks like they might be a force in the AFC this year. So I like what they did on the defensive side of the ball. Bud Dupree from Pittsburgh, he's gonna play well there. You look at a couple other guys. Amari Hooker, really good player. Zach Cunningham left the Titans. He left for the Texans. Now he's with the Titans. This will be a team that they might give him 3 losses in a row. So
how do the Eagles mitigate all that the losing 3 games in a row, all that might bring, particularly in this town with fans feeling upset after maybe this hot start that you're expecting? Where they go, 7-2, and then suddenly, they start dropping games and they're 7-4.
This is where you learn what your culture is. You learn, who your dogs are. This is where that dog mentality goes out, and you really have to look each other in the eye, face to face, and see, all right, let's strap it up, let's go, man. This is 3-game loss. They got to stop the bleeding somehow. You need your veteran players to step up, and this is where they do step up. This is where BG takes control. Fletcher Cox goes out and starts saying what he needs to say. Guys like that. Kelsey, making his entrance into being, a stabilizer on the offensive side of the ball. And this is where you have to stop the bleeding. So yes, this is game. They lose this game, but going in after that, I think they rein everything back, regroup, and go forward and get back on that winning track.
Okay, we're heading into the Giants game, and it's so weird to be facing them for the first time in Week 14 after all the rivalries and matchups that they've had over time. But we're coming into this Giants game, and what do you see here, Week 14, going into the Meadowlands?
Win. I mean, they're just learning their coach. They have some weapons. They got a great pass rusher and Thibodeau, but they just don't have enough to stop this Eagles team. I think they start rolling over, and like I said, they reestablish their stake in the NFC East, and they beat up on this Giants team. They're going to beat up on them pretty good, man. They're still going to have – they still got Daniel Jones as their quarterback. Probably by that time, Tyrod Taylor's probably going to take a couple reps also. But I think that they're going to go out there and beat this Giants team. They're going to beat them pretty good too. Get back on the winning track.
8-5 now through 14 weeks. We go into Week 15. It is the Bears as the Eagles stay on the road 3 consecutive weeks on the road here. You're not afraid of the Bears, are you?
They're going to beat up on the Bears too. They're back on the winning track. They're going to beat them like they stole something, man. This is a win, no doubt. This is where it starts to get favorable for the Eagles, So yeah, they get back on track and beat up on this Chicago Bear team. Even though David Montgomery might run a little bit, Fields might run a little bit, they just don't have enough at the receiver position. They just going out and just getting people. I don't know who any of these, St. Brown, I knew him when he was at Green Bay, but other than that, man, I don't see anything. David Moore, he's a pretty good player from
Yeah, they lost Allen Robinson to the Rams.
Yeah, so their offensive line still sucks. They did get Byron Pringle, Kansas State guy from Kansas City, but they don't just have enough on the offensive side of the ball. Defense is 9-5, pretty good, man. Robert Quinn is a baller, but at this point, I don't see him doing anything against this Eagles team.
9-5 as we head into another Cowboys week in Week 16. The Birds are 9-5. The Cowboys, who knows, but they're headed into Jerry World on a 2-game winning streak. What do you see happening with the Cowboys game? Is Christmas Eve? Is it Merry Christmas, Barrett?
I want so bad for it to be a Merry Christmas, but going down to Jerry's World, I think the Grinch might steal Christmas from us.
9-6, folks. Maybe that's not the trip you want to go on.
Right. I'm just being honest, man. Just looking at what's going on, man, and I being in Jerry's World, playing all things being equal, 2 even rosters. Dak is still Dak. Dak can still play. I don't know about their running game, but man, they should have everybody healthy and ready to play, man. So, this Dallas team is going to be ready to ball. They'll be ready to ball. And Pollard and Zeke, they're going to run the ball consistently. CeeDee Lamb is still a player. Michael Gallup will be healthy and back out there.
So 3 straight road games. They go 2-1 in that as they lose on Christmas Eve. But we have New Year's Day. All things hope springs eternal on New Year's Day. The New Orleans Saints in Week 17. They finished the season with 2 home games to the Birds. January 1st, 1 p.m., New Orleans and their whole Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill quarterback situation. What do you see happening there?
That's an Eagles victory. They just have their number. The Eagles have the Saints number. Yes, they got Alvin Kamara. They got Mark Ingram. But still, Michael Thomas is still there too. They got Chris Olave. But I just think that they just have their number. They, no matter who they have playing, they beat Breeze when he was there. This team will run the rock against Marcus Davenport, Cameron Jordan. They're just going to pound the rock on these guys and make them like it. They lost their safety. Their safety's gone. They did get Tyrann Matthews, but, he's more of a pass disruption type of guy. We're going to run the ball on these guys consistently. So, yeah, I think we beat this Saints team.
Week 18, Saquon Barkley and the boys once again. It is the Giants. We have seen the Cowboys in this position. A game time for this one is still to be determined, but we have seen the Cowboys as the team that the Eagles finished the season up with a few years in a row. There are people chiming in, Barrett, thinking that I saw a gentleman with a hot take here. Here it is, W Plug from YouTube saying, I think the Eagles sweep the division this year. Now, you had them losing to the Cowboys on Christmas Eve, and to the Commanders, but I'm thinking this is a Giants win. And what do you think about his take about them possibly sweeping the division?
They'll sweep this team. They'll definitely sweep the Giants. Like I say, they split with the Washington football team. They split with the Commanders. They also sweep with they split
with the
with
Cowboys
Dallas. They'll
and
split with the Commanders. So,
right.
They'll sweep the Giants.
But you have them at 11 wins.
11 wins, double digit, yes.
And so do the people on our YouTube poll of how many wins for the Eagles this season. 61% chiming in with 11 wins, 37% saying more than 7. So that sweet spot of over 8.5, which is where Vegas has them. Based on the way we just went over the schedule, taking the over would be in people's favor. But
yes, definitely take the over. They'll have double-digit wins, whether it's 10 wins or 11 wins. The favor is so favorable in the beginning of the season. That I could be a homer and I could say, all right, they're going to sweep. They're going to go 5-0. 4-0 heading into the Cardinals game. And you'd be right to say that. It'd be easy to say that, but I see them. It's just going to be hard for me to say they're going to go in and run 4 games in a row.
But based on what you have said, though, is that one, they will win the division.
Yep.
Based on this slate that we went through, and 2, that they'll also have a home game, have a playoff home game here.
Absolutely.
So that's the way you think it'll shake out.
It'll definitely shake out the way they'll go 11-6. Either 10-7 or 11-6. They win the division. And
that's a heck of a step forward for Sirianni and his boys. Jalen Hurts, he's the franchise quarterback, I would guess, if they go 11-6.
They're going to have to make him the franchise quarterback now.
Right.
In coming with that, and there lies the problem, because when you're a franchise quarterback, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to pay him $35 million or more a year, because that's the going way for a quarterback.
Whew.
But when you look at Jalen Hurts, does he necessarily should he just necessarily command that amount of money? Well, if he's a starting quarterback, it's already slotted for him to get that. What's his worth on this team? Well, we'll see, because he's going to get at least that if he's the franchise quarterback going forward, because we know Howie Roseman likes to sign guys early, because he signs them early so he can get that discount, going into it.
Right.
Did the same thing with Carson, Zach Ertz, Lane Johnson. He just did it with, a lot of guys he just signed last year. Avonte Maddox, all those guys. So, that's just what he does. And I see him doing the same thing. If he goes out and they win 11 games, 10 games, you have to say that it's Hurts' team going forward.
Well, our franchise guy is Barrett Brooks. You can catch him every weekday on Birds Huddle. He will be giving all of his analysis and thoughts. Make sure you tune in all year long. For Barrett, I'm Danny Pommells. This has been the Birds Huddle schedule release. We appreciate everyone tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We will see you tomorrow on Birds Huddle. Make sure you tune in.